You are startled out of your sleep as your beeping alarm clock signals the start of your school day. You groan, thinking how it could possibly be time to get up when you just fell asleep. Pressing the snooze button, you doze off again, only to be awakened by your angry mother. She yells at you to get out of bed, claiming you'll be late for school. As a current high school student, I am all too aware of this scenario. For my 4 years of high school, it has become my reality. It is something I live daily, and I'm not the only one. In fact, research completed by the National Sleep Foundation shows that 73% of students aren't getting the recommended hours of sleep. As people of a sleep-deprived world, we can all benefit from becoming more aware of the sleep epidemic plaguing so many of our lives, especially those of adolescents. Like me, I'm sure many of you have experienced the effects of little to no sleep. This is what students experience every day in school, and something must be done. We must do something. In order to enhance student learning and improve the quality of their lives, schools must push back later start times until later in the morning. In this speech, I will discuss the lack of sleep students receive each night, the major causes behind this problem, and why schools should enact a later start time to combat this prevalent issue. To understand the effects of sleep on students, it is first important to acknowledge the amounts they should be getting and the consequences of not getting enough. The amount of sleep students receive each night directly correlates with their ability to properly function both in and out of school. Today, adolescents are facing a widespread chronic health problem, sleep deprivation. While society views sleep as a luxury or an indulgence, it's not. Sleep is a biological necessity essential for the well-being of an individual. According to Dr. Mary A. Kudarskin, a leading psychologist in the study of adolescent sleeping habits, teens are recommended to get 9 hours and 25 minutes of sleep each night. Unfortunately, only 31% of students reported getting this on a 2009 National Youth Risk Behavior Surveillance Survey. Instead, teens only average 5 to 7 hours of nightly sleep, nowhere near the recommended amount. Research was then conducted by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in 2010, which monitored the role sleep played in adolescents' physical and mental health. Outcomes showed that chronic sleep deprivation may lead to an increased susceptibility to a number of different problems and indicates that the cumulative effects can be quite serious. To start, a sleep-deprived teen is likely to experience difficulty concentrating and paying attention in class. Their ability to be alert, solve problems, cope with stress, and retain information is greatly reduced, and they are unable to maximize the learning opportunities afforded by their education system. In addition, teens who do not receive enough sleep are at a significant risk for other dangerous mental and physical factors. Emotional and behavior problems from lack of sleep, such as irritability, poor impulse control, and major depression, prompts physical problems like violence and substance abuse. But perhaps the greatest consequence of sleep deprivation is a reported lower life satisfaction. It was after witnessing the devastating effects of sleep deprivation that the CDC began to desperately voice out its concerns for sleep-deprived teens. Based on this research, it's quite obvious that sleep is essential to a person's well-being, but what is keeping students from receiving this required amount? Students' lives are so hectic that sleep takes a backseat to responsibilities deemed more important. Adults today often perceive students' lack of ambition as laziness, but they fail to look at the bigger picture. Like Kayla L. Wallstrom, a research fellow at the College of Education and Human Development, said, "It's a matter of biology, not choice." Key changes in sleeping patterns of adolescents undergoing puberty can contribute to excessive sleepiness that impairs daytime functioning. Researchers from Brown University analyzed data of adolescents' shifting sleeping patterns. They found that as teens mature, so do their circadian rhythms, their internal clocks that regulate and determine sleeping behaviors. It is at this age that teenagers experience a sleep phase delay, the tendency for later sleeping and waking times compared to other demographics. Consequently, students' brains are not able to enter sleep mode until after 10:45 p.m., but they still must awaken early for the start of the school day, putting unnecessary stress upon their bodies. In addition, the expectations imposed on high school students are demanding, overwhelming, and virtually impossible to deal with. Facing 8 classes a day, finishing loads of homework, and studying for tests and quizzes to receive high marks is a lot to handle. However, it isn't even taking into consideration participation in clubs and extracurricular activities, working jobs, managing familial responsibilities, maintaining a social life, and being tucked into bed at a reasonable time. There simply is not enough time to do it all, and often these expectations take a priority to going to sleep. Ultimately, students facing a clash between societal and biological demands are left to suffer the effects of sleep deprivation. A final question remains of how schools can counter these effects. By initiating later start times, schools will be able to better support the ambitions of their students and help them reach their full potential. In 2015, the American Academy of Pediatrics and the American Medical Association both adopted separate policies calling for schools to be in classes no earlier than 8:30 a.m. According to pediatrician Judith Owens, they are making a definitive and powerful statement about the importance of sleep to the health, safety, performance, and well-being of our nation's youth. These medical associations and others like it urge schools to allow their students to receive the recommended hours of sleep. A year-long study composed by the University of Minnesota's Center for Applied Research and Educational Improvement examined the effects of shifting start times from 7:20 a.m. to 7:30 a.m., and the results were staggering. Studies showed a decrease in student absenteeism, tardiness, and falling asleep in class. In addition, there were fewer reported depression, substance abuse, and disciplinary incidences. Evidence of the study also showed an improved attendance, more alertness and efficiency in the classroom, and an overall higher feeling of mood and general well-being. Though there are some current concerns about the logistical issues of pushing back start times, they can all be met with creative approaches. And advocates believe that the benefits of later start times far outweigh its drawbacks, as it enables students to obtain healthy amounts of sleep while reaping the benefits of a rewarding education. The school system must be reminded that sleep is not a budget item, but rather an absolute requirement. The body of evidence regarding the academic benefits of a later start time is compelling. Medical research shows that there is a clear link between sleep and mental health. Acknowledging the vital relationship between school policies and human development is an important step in protecting adolescents from sleep deprivation. Today, students face a challenging world, seemingly against them, so school leaders and parents must strive to create the best possible conditions for them to grow and thrive in. Ultimately, it's through the implementation of later start times that they are able to do so, positively affecting student health, safety, and learning, because everyone learns better when they're awake. In conclusion, sleep is a fundamental and crucial part of adolescents' lives, and schools need to take the responsibility for ensuring that their students are receiving the right amount of sleep. Today we discussed the lack of sleep students receive each night, the major causes behind this problem, as well as schools should enact a later start time to combat this prevalent issue. Schools must take it upon themselves to initiate later start times for the betterment of its students. If you only take one thing away from this speech, simply remember to sleep. By allowing students to sleep, they are able to dream of their potential and their future, and not the next time they get to close their eyes.